Spring normally brings about warmer weather, but there's a chill in the air. Real estate cools, jobs stall, and rate cut looms. This is another episode of Building Wealth Through Real Estate, Brick by Brick. My name is Nico James-Bock, and I am a broker at Keller Williams Co-Elevation Real Estate in Toronto. The real estate market stats are out for April 2025. In this episode, I want to unpack the stats and provide you with what is really going on, cut through the noise, so to speak, and get to what is actually happening in the real estate market. Always keep in mind are the 7 factors that drive real estate, that determine real estate values. I have 7 of those factors on the screen. The most important, number 1 factor, is the cost of ownership. Shelter costs, that includes owning and renting. Number 2, job security. I will skip over the 3rd factor, which is population growth, which is always an important consideration, but one that will not be highlighted. The stats for population growth will not be highlighted during this episode. I will, however, pass on to the 4th factor, which is supply. Then it's followed by regulatory changes and global factors. Lots happening. I will leave also the 7th factor out because we will talk about replacement value versus market value in another episode. Dealing with 5 of the 7 factors at one time is daunting, simply because we have to consider many issues at the present time. We just had a recent federal election, which saw the Liberal Party take a minority government. I want to discuss what their plans are for countering the tariffs that have been lobbied our way by the US federal government, as well as municipal and provincial changes to help bolster the economy and help protect the Canadian economy and housing market. The GTA housing market, I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that the April to 2025 market stats have been released by the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. Those numbers are what is causing a lot of sensationalist headlines in the media, and the media is basically concentrating on the downturn in sales, emphasizing the crash of the condo market and other sensationalist sort of titles. I want to cut through all of that because what the media doesn't often highlight are other stats that are equally as important. So the warmer weather in spring has brought increased home buying activity. So there is more activity with respect to the beginning of the year, with April showing more sales than March. So sales have actually increased over March. Overall, GTA residential transactions were still down year over year. So from 2024 to 2025 spring, as many buyers wait for lower interest rates and more economic stability. So it's the instability in the economic environment that is really putting a slowdown when it comes to transactions. Canada-US trade relations are being closely watched post-election. A positive shift could boost consumer confidence and housing activity. So a lot of attention is being paid to what are the changes that will come about as a result of the most recent election. April 2025 saw 5,601 home sales in the GTA, which is a 23.3% decline from April 2024 per TREB data. The average selling price dropped 4.1% year over year to 1,107,463. These are not alarming stats by any means, because when we consider real estate, we aren't just concentrating on the stats that took place last year. When we consider real estate, we are thinking about long-term appreciation, long-term changes in the marketplace, and that really is a 3 to 5 to 10 year overview. The inventory remains high, so giving buyers more choice and negotiating power, contributing to soft prices in many areas, in particular in the condo sector. People, this is a buyer's market when it comes to condominiums. That is good for buyers. So I don't know where all the doomsayers are calling for the sky is falling and the condo market is crashing. And this is an extremely good opportunity for those looking to buy a condominium. Even a freehold property is also advantageous because of the changes that were brought about by the mortgage rules on December the 15th. So we are in actually a good position when it comes to buying. When it comes to selling, those that are in the freehold market are still seeing appreciative gains, as well as in some pockets, multiple offers. So the buyer pool for freehold properties is smaller, and therefore there is more competition. When it comes to condo sales, yes, the extremely high amount of inventory is contributing to softer prices, as well as relatively fewer sales as buyers stay on the sidelines and are waiting for different changes. They're waiting for lower interest rates. They're waiting for what's going to happen with regards to tariffs. Those buyers that are sitting on the sidelines are doing so at their own peril. They're not taking advantage of the fact that we are in a buyer's market when it comes to condos. So buyers who are listening to me and to other industry experts are actually taking advantage, and we are seeing those sales take place. Those savvy buyers are taking advantage of the opportunities that are in the marketplace. A record number of new condos is expected in 2025, adding supply and putting more downward pressure on prices, while developer pullbacks today may lead to tighter conditions in 3 to 5 years. We are expecting a record number of completions in 2025. This continues a trend of completions that occurred in 2024, which actually precipitated the glut in the condo sector. And because we were then in a high interest rate environment, a lot of investors basically pulled out and were not able to fill those units with tenants. And a lot of them had difficulty financing and carrying those costs. So that is what is contributing to the current situation, in addition to the uncertainty brought about by the tariffs and job security. When we consider the economy, public administration employment rose by 37,000, which is an increase of 3% in April, mostly in temporary positions linked to the federal election. Finance, insurance, real estate, and leasing sectors added 24,000 jobs, which is an increase of 1.6% in April, continuing steady growth since basically October 2024. The employment overall remained flat for the third straight month. So from February, March, leading to April, it's remaining flat, with rising job insecurity in export-dependent sectors like auto, steel industry, and aluminum. Windsor's unemployment rate surged to 10.7%, highest among major Canadian metros, highlighting Ontario's sharp job losses in manufacturing. The economy stats are supplied by Sherry Cooper. I once again strongly encourage you to add her as a reliable and level-headed source when it comes to what is happening in the economy, particularly in the job market, as well as what is headed by the Bank of Canada. So Sherry often comments on trends that are in the economic environment when it comes to Bank of Canada decisions. We now pass to regulatory changes. So this is another factor that contributes to the price of real estate. The federal government will start at the top with Prime Minister Mark Carney, retaliatory tariffs and trade negotiations. So in response to US tariffs, Canada has imposed retaliatory tariffs on $21 billion worth of US imports, including steel and aluminum, to protect domestic industries and jobs. Housing investment through CMHC, another federal agency. The federal government has allocated over $365 million to build 767 new homes in Toronto, aiming to address housing shortages and affordability. Not nearly enough to address the housing shortage, because even though there is a huge number of condos in the marketplace, we are still in a housing shortage crisis because of the sheer number of people that are pouring into Canada and more specifically into the GTHA. Low-cost financing for rental housing. So the federal government has said a $2.55 billion investment in low-cost financing has been announced to support the construction of 4,831 rental homes in Toronto alone, including at least 1,075 affordable rental units. Then there's the capital gains tax adjustment. To fund new housing measures, the federal government has increased the capital gains inclusion rate for corporations and wealthy individuals. We pass on to what the provincial government is doing, and by provincial government, I'm referring to Premier Doug Ford and the other provincial ministers or premiers in the other provinces. So housing targets and streamlining approvals. Ontario aims to build 1.5 million new homes by 2031, focusing on streamlining approvals for additional residential units and reducing municipal restrictions to accelerate new builds. So this is province-wide, not just in Toronto. So this will help with the housing shortage that is coming. I can assure you that the situation that we find ourselves in today is short-lived. It will be short-lived. We will be in a completely different situation come 2027, 2028, and 2029, when we will have a severe housing shortage across the board with all housing types, and a price acceleration will double. Infrastructure funding. So the province has allocated nearly $2.3 billion through the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund and the Municipal Housing Infrastructure Fund to support key water and wastewater infrastructure, facilitating the construction of approximately 600,000 homes. Then, legislation to expedite construction. New bills have been introduced to expedite home, road, and transit construction, aiming to reduce development timelines and costs. We trickle down to the municipal government with Mayor Olivia Ciao. Development charge incentives. So this is specifically for Toronto. Toronto has frozen planned increases to development charges and offers relief from these charges and property taxes for rental builders, provided that 20% of new units are rented at discounted prices. Then there are affordable housing initiatives. The city plans to unlock 8,000 affordable homes by waiving development charges and build 6,000 units through the rental supply housing program. Then we have public developer delivery model. So Toronto has initiated its first affordable housing project delivered through the public developer delivery model, aiming to increase the supply of affordable housing. Then we have the tenant protection programs. The city has implemented programs such as the Rent Bank, Eviction Prevention Program, and Tenant Support Program to protect renters and prevent homelessness. In addition, there are other initiatives and incentives for developers to build condominiums for resale and for investment. When we pass on to what all this means on a national level, these coordinated efforts across federal, provincial, and municipal levels aim to address the challenges posed by tariffs, which really are the biggest threat to our economy. Housing shortages come next, and development costs, striving to create a more affordable and accessible housing market in Canada for everyone in Canada. Just quickly, I want to pass through or go over the actual macro market stats. We look at the GTA market stats for April, and overall in the GTA, the average sale price is $1,085,000, which is just down 2.4%. Interestingly enough, there are 4.89 months of inventory, so that is the high inventory environment that I spoke of earlier, with 18,551 being the number of sales year to date. So yes, that's a dip of 20%, but these are that is what is happening in this current economic climate. 28 days on market is the average number that properties are staying on the market. I want to just draw your attention, if you are watching this on YouTube, to the total sales, active listings, and average price over a longer period of time. So from 2024, the total sales were 7,302. 2025, total sales are 5,601, so a drop. But if we go back further to 2023, total number of sales 7,487, so higher than 2024, and in 2022 higher again at 7,940. These sales figures, we will see them again as we proceed further into 2025, 2026, and 2027. Then that also depends on the supply. So we're going to probably see a decreased number of sales as we exhaust the supply in 2027, 2028, and 2029. So these are cycles that are fairly predictable when we look at what is happening in the economy. Specifically going to Toronto, average sale price is $1,091,693, which is down just ever so slightly at 0.9% year to date. Number of sales at 6,982 and 29 days of market. 29 days on market is the average number. 4.96, so almost 5 months of inventory. Again, a high inventory environment. Mississauga has a similar outlook with regards to the April stats. So 1,027,741 is the average sale price, which is down just 3.3%. 28 days on market and 4.88 months of inventory. Then we have Brampton. Brampton is down for the first time in several years, below average price of 1 million. So 932,642. That means that there are perhaps more opportunities for buyers in Brampton than in the other regions that I just mentioned. 27 days on market and the number of sales being at 1,331. Average sale price for a condominium in Brampton is at 495,296, down 7.7%. Again, opportunities abound in this region. 5.34 months of inventory, so even more inventory in Brampton, primarily as a result of the sheer number of condo completions that took place in Brampton region in 2025 and 2024. If we pass on to Durham region is still down or below $1 million on the average sale price. It has never actually breached the $1 million mark, with the exception of 2022, when it just went over slightly $1 million. But for the last 4 years, it has, or 3 years, it has been trending under $1 million. There are, however, there's a lower number of months of inventory in Durham region. So tighter conditions at 3.18 months of inventory. So Durham region is actually more in the seller's market climate. So as I mentioned, tighter conditions in Durham region. And that is expected to continue throughout the summer. York region, one of the more expensive regions, at 1,234,519 as the average sale price, 28 days of inventory, and almost 6 months of inventory. So there can be opportunities in York region, especially because of the increased buying power. With the December 15th CMHC mortgage changes, and with almost 6 months of inventory, that puts it in prime buyer's market territory. So there are definitely opportunities to be had if you want to remain in York region. Similarly, in Oakville, which has even more months of inventory at 6.04. It is the most expensive region of the regions that I'm outlining here at 1,470,224. Again, buyers who take advantage of the new mortgage rules allowing for a lower percent down payment to qualify for a mortgage, and the 6.04 months of inventory. Wow, it's a lot. In Oakville, can take advantage of the opportunities that exist here. Just overall, the Treb Market Watch, just as a quick recap, months of inventory is generally high. Average price at 1,107,000 is fairly stable, but still trending upwards. As we go and look at what all of this means, while spring has brought a seasonal lift in activity, the GTA real estate market remains subdued compared to last year, with buyers cautious amid economic uncertainty and elevated borrowing costs. Increased inventory and upcoming new condo supply are softening prices in the short term, but current economic development slowdowns may set the stage for tighter conditions in the medium term. Canada's job market in April reflected political activity-driven gains in some sectors, but underlying economic challenges persist, especially in trade-sensitive industries. As uncertainty continues to dampen hiring, expectations for a potential Bank of Canada rate cut are growing. Just moving quickly to the next announcements. What we saw, the first announcement, January 29th, we saw a rate reduction of 25 basis points, which brought the overnight lending rate to 3%. On Wednesday, March 12th, we saw another rate reduction of 25 basis points, which brought the overnight lending rate down to 2.75%. At the last Bank of Canada announcement on April 16th, there was a rate hold. So it was the first hold since the rate reduction cycle began on January 6th, 2024. However, because of the current economic climate and the current conditions that are in the market, the odds are in favor of a 25 basis point rate reduction on the June 4th announcement. Remember that the economists are all stating that the Bank of Canada's goal is to have the overnight lending rate at roughly 2 or 2.25% by the end of the summer. So we are well on our way to seeing that play out. And with the next announcement, we will most likely see a rate reduction. And then there's another announcement before the summer. So we will see if that plays out in the coming weeks. All of these stats are available on the various social networks, and we can predict that there are many more changes to come as we move further out of spring and into summer. I will update you towards the end of the month to see what changes will be taking place. Ciao, ciao.